there's an orgasm gap. Stop widening the orgasm gap by faking orgasms and faking pleasure. It's hurtful, it's harmful, it doesn't help anybody. Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Bibi Babatunde-Ikotun. I'm a faith and lifestyle content creator living in Ontario, Canada. If this is your first time coming to my channel, you're welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, shout out to you, you're the best. So by the topic of today, I'll be chatting with you about sex questions that you can have with your Christian partner that would not necessarily lead you in the wrong direction. And it's been a while since I've had one of these conversations about sex on my channel, and I've grown so much. I don't longer blush uncontrollably or feel like I'm going to pass out. It's sex, it's godly, it's pure, it's created by God. And I will put it out there, these conversations should be had in a clear and neutral, open place. You can even have it with your friends, as a group, as a general conversation. This really just helps you to understand your partner better, their perspective about sex. So when you get married, it's not going to be too many surprises that would actually almost ruin your marriage. Why do you think God created sex? Believe me, you, or how did they say that? There are still people out there that believe that sex was created by God strictly for procreation. So if you're in a relationship with someone that has that mindset, that means you guys will not be having a lot of sex. That means a lot of things. It just means a lot of things. So having a conversation, and I'm not saying you should talk about this in desire to cancel them or break up with them. No, this is to learn more about their mindset, because many times when we talk about these things, we tend to understand things from different perspectives, as well as possibly change our minds. So when you ask a person, oh, why do you think God created sex, it's to learn more about their thought process as to why sex exists. So it can be, oh, God created sex to help couples become closer, to build their intimacy, for procreation, amongst other things. You want them to have a healthy perspective or a healthy notion about sex, unless it can be a problem down the line. Question number 2 is, if it were up to you, how many times will you have sex in a week? As a married person, of course. So this is just to get an idea of what their sexual libido is, right? If the answer is every day of the week, in fact 3 times a day, and talk is cheap, right? Because many times you responsibilities pile up, but based on their answer, based on their excitement level, based on their passionate response, you can really tell, okay, is this person does this person have like a high sex drive or low sex drive? Because I mean, you can tell these things even though you've not necessarily explored. But does the thought of sex get you excited? Do you want to have it every day, every night, every morning, like whatever it is? Just, that's again neutral conversations in a neutral setting. Bibi Lamore is not saying you should go and be talking about which this kind of questions in behind closed doors. No, Christians, that's not the conversation. Have it in a neutral, open setting, possibly with your friends, with people you can trust, so that way you guys are accountable and not trying to go and defile the marital bed. Please, I'm begging you, keep things pure, keep things holy, keep things godly. The third question I think you can ask is, what are your thoughts about sex toys? And someone that's never experienced this before can actually belong to 2 camps. It can be no, God forbid, because they might not know like there are varieties when it comes to sex toys, right? There is the ones that would vibrate on the cleats, like there are different types that can really like help improve. And this is not even for spicing up a couple's marital bed, really. It's just to improve their intimacy, right? If a woman is in a marriage with a man that like foreplay might not really come easily to him, introducing little toys here and there can make things much more pleasurable for the woman, because at the end of the day, sex is not only to benefit the man, it's for the pleasure of both the man and the woman. So when you ask this question, the chances that your Christian boyfriend or Christian girlfriend has no idea of what sex toys are out there, their answer might be immediately no, I don't believe in sex toys. God says, like, no, this is what God said. Like Adam and Eve did not use any sex toys, and look, they flourished. Like their response can really vary, and honestly you can't blame them for it. Why some people's response would be, I don't know what I think about it, but I'm open, right? Which is like either camp. So based on their response, based on your thinking process, you can always like gauge and see, okay, what would work for us. And Christian couples should not shy away from sex toys if that's your gist. If it's not your gist, you can avoid it altogether. It helps a lot of women, it helps a lot of men, it helps to build your intimacy, in as much as it doesn't become a case of you using that device behind your partner's back. Then that is wrong. I don't care what anybody says, it is wrong, because sex at the end of the day is between a man and his wife, or a husband and wife, not wife and toy, or husband and toy. No, this two has to be something that brings you both together, not drives you apart. Because there may be cases where a man or a woman can use a sex toy behind their partner's back, and that would like really limit their desire to engage in intimacy, sexual closeness with their spouse, because after all, they've gotten off while using the sex toy. No. It's very, very imperative that this toy does not become something that drives you apart. And also, if you know yourself, if you've had issues with masturbation in the past as a single person, I wouldn't recommend you using the sex toy, because if it drives you back to your old behaviors and you're masturbating behind your partner's back, questions, right? So know yourself, know what works for you. If it's not your jazz, you don't have to do it. If it is, like different things. For example, you may say, okay, Bibi, why would sex toy work? For example, now, if someone is married to a man that maybe it's not necessarily ejaculating fast, but your wavelengths are not matching, right? Is ejaculating maybe 2 minutes before you orgasm as a woman. That's where like a sex toy can come into place, or whatever. You can also talk, I'm not a sex therapist, so nobody should ask me questions, I don't know that, but you can also talk to a trusted sex therapist, of course, about ideas and things to help you guys mutually enjoy sex. Again, sex is not just for the enjoyment of the man. A woman too should enjoy sex. Women, stop making there's an orgasm gap. Stop widening the orgasm gap by faking orgasms and faking pleasure. It's hurtful, it's harmful, it doesn't help anybody. Anyways, I derailed. Back to my question, how do you feel about sex toys? Next question, how do you feel about oral sex? Right, you want to know what they think. Is it, oh my god, it's disgusting, take that away from me, God forbid, right? What are their thoughts? But also, it's also to learn like what they feel about in general. Is it wrong for you to say no to oral sex? No, it's your marriage, it's your choice. Like, you can make choices based on what you both want as a couple. I naturally would not recommend anal sex. A good guideline I heard is any part of your body that does not self lubricate should probably not be an orifice for sex. That's just me. That's me. Anywho, next question you can ask, what are your thoughts about woman's pleasure? Like, how do you, and this is a question, I guess this is a woman that will ask a man, because a lot of times men were conditioned to feel like when it comes to marriage, it's about them. In fact, a lot of men use their wife's body as a masturbation machine, right? They just go in there, do what they want, not care about our feelings, not care about our pleasures, not caring about our desires. And that should not be so. That's not godly. That is not a Christian way to approach marriage. So you want to ask them, what do you feel about a woman's pleasure? Do you think that you'd be interested in making it your priority to ensure that sex is also enjoyable for me and it's not all about you. So these are just things to talk about. What do they feel? Are they going to be like, it's not that serious? Because I've seen many, like I've heard many stories, not seen, because God knows I'm not in people's marital beds, but I've heard stories of how women are married and they've never orgasmed before, and I'm like, and these are Christian marriages, which sometimes makes it hard, because even in Christian marriages, talking about sex still feels like a taboo. So I'm like, no, it shouldn't be so, right? Intimacy is vulnerability, being able to talk to your spouse about, okay, that sex that we had last night, it wasn't giving. Like, you have to be able to be open, which brings me to my next conversation. Are you open to feedback? Are you open to receiving feedback, right? And sometimes, again, so this answers is not necessary to take it as the truth, but also observe out there in general life, right? Do they receive feedback when you tell them like, oh, you told a lie and that wasn't really good? How do they react to it? So also, there's also an observation part to having these conversations, because talk is cheap. People can say things, people can lie, but you also have to observe as well and see how they even undo day-to-day activities. Like, are they generally open-minded? Are they closed-minded? Are they never interested in certain things? This will also help you judge the kind of person you're about to get married and to really see if there is alignment. The next question that I think you should ask is emotional connection. Do you think emotional connection will be important to you when it comes to having sex? I've heard stories of men fighting with their wives, like they're keeping malice, and in the middle of the night he taps her, sleeps with her. After sleeping with his wife, he puts pillow between them and they are back to their fight. So you can see that kind of person, emotional connection is not needed for them to have sex, right? It's true, emotional connection is not needed for them. So you need to know the person you're getting involved with, because I don't understand, there's no fight you can be fighting with your partner. Once you have sex, that should be, sex is a tool to bind you together. So once sex is involved, that means both of you have to settle that fight. That fight is over. That fight is done with. Like, that's the end of the fight, period. But some people, I don't want to say they don't have the spirit of God or they don't have the fear of God, but how can you be fighting with your wife, you slept with her and you continue the fight? Like, no, it shouldn't be so. But you should understand that ask them, is emotional connection important? Like, do we need to be in a good place? Do we need to be emotionally connected to have good, beautiful and wonderful sex? And hear what they have to say. So I think that's very important. And the last question I have on my notes is, ask them questions like, how do you feel about role playing? How do you feel about playing with like scents, like candles and things? Just general conversations like, oh, how do you feel playing, kind of like when we were kids, police and thief, that kind of thing, to, I guess, improve your intimacy and just see what they have to say. But I'd like to put this out here, please, Christians, porn is not something to dabble in your, even as a married person. Please don't bring strangers to your bed. It's better for both of you to explore your bodies, touch, feel, taste, whatever you want to do to try to understand yourselves better than to learn from porn. Porn is not an educational tool. It is an entertainment tool, which means that they are acting. Don't go and put pressure on yourself. Don't go and be beholding another woman or another man that is not your spouse. Don't go and be looking at their nakedness. Please, I appeal to you by the mercies of God. Porn would make your relationships or your sexual lives worse than better. It's better to learn, both of you, ask questions, do your research, than to go and be watching porn videos. Please, I beg, I appeal, I plead with you in the name of Jesus Christ. I beg you, no, porn is not even like, no, don't feed your mind with that. Don't go and be seeing another man's phallage and you be comparing your husband's own to it. Don't go and be seeing, no. Those people are actors. Most of them use drugs to be able to go 1 hour without coming. Your 2 minutes is okay, 5 minutes is okay. Don't go and compare yourself. I remember they're in between takes, action. cut, action, cut. So you don't even know. Don't go and compare. I'm begging you people. I just want to put it out there before I finish. Porn is no. If you have other helpful tips, maybe things you talked about with your fiance that was safe, didn't lead you to fornication, didn't lead you to sin, please post them below. I would like to hear more ideas so we can help the singles. I can't promise that I'm going to do more sex related content, because honestly I'm not a sex therapist. I don't feel like I'm super knowledgeable about these things, but I try in what my own little way to share these tips that I've heard, that I've tried, that I've learned from friends and things like that. So if you've enjoyed this video, the subscribe button, like, share, comment. I know many of us are shy when it comes to sex related content, but that's not who we are. So if you'd like to learn more, you can check out this video on managing. I don't know if it's going to be on this side or this side, but wherever. But check out my next video on managing sexual desires as a Christian single, and also how to stop watching porn and masturbating. Till next time, bye. God bless you.